are you doing this? Stop!
Relax, honey. It's a joke.
I'm not your joke!
48 hours later, Tokoro Airlines was permanently shut down after outrage over an employee.
It was supposed to be the happiest trip of her young life. A surprise vacation planned by her father, a man known around the world for his success, his kindness, and his influence. But as the plane doors closed, something happened that would shock millions. An 11-year-old black girl, quiet and full of excitement, suddenly found herself the target of laughter, humiliation, and cruelty, all from those who were supposed to protect and serve her. It began as a fun challenge, a so-called innocent prank, but it would end with a little girl's tears and an entire airline's collapse. No one knew who she was. Not yet, but when the truth came out, the world would see what happens when arrogance meets accountability, and when the powerless find their voice. Watch until the end. This story will make you question what it means to be human. Wait a second. Tell us where you're watching from in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories like this. Her name was Layla Johnson, the only daughter of Marcus Johnson, a self-made billionaire and the founder of one of the largest tech companies in America. But on that day, she wasn't traveling as the daughter of a CEO. She was just a bright-eyed 11-year-old, flying with her nanny to meet her parents for a family vacation in the Bahamas. Layla had always been full of life, curious, polite, and proud of her natural curls. Her mother used to say those curls were her crown, a symbol of beauty and strength passed down through generations. The flight attendants greeted passengers with practiced smiles, but Layla noticed one of them staring at her longer than usual. She didn't think much of it. She just wanted to enjoy her juice, look out the window, and dream about the ocean. But halfway through the flight, a group of attendants began whispering and giggling near the galley. One of them held a pair of scissors. Another pulled out a phone. They called it a game, and Layla was about to become the target. The cabin lights dimmed. Most passengers were dozing off, the hum of the engines soothing. Layla's nanny had fallen asleep beside her. That's when two flight attendants approached. "Sweetheart," one said, crouching beside Layla's seat with a too bright smile. "We're doing something special for the kids today, a makeover challenge. Want to join?" Layla hesitated. "My mom doesn't let me," she began softly. "Oh, it's just for fun." The woman interrupted, waving her hand dismissively. Another attendant appeared, holding up a phone camera. "Smile, you're going viral today." Before Layla could even respond, the woman gently but firmly placed her hands on the child's shoulders. The first snip came quickly. A curl fell onto Layla's lap. Her eyes widened. The second attendant laughed. "Wow, you're going to look so fresh." Passengers began to turn their heads. Some chuckled. Others looked uncomfortable, whispering. Layla tried to move, but the woman held her steady. "Please stop," Layla whispered, voice trembling. But the laughter grew louder. The woman held up a pair of scissors and announced, "We're giving this princess a new look, airline style." Within seconds, more curls fell. The floor around her seat was covered in dark, beautiful strands of hair. The phone camera stayed fixed on her face, capturing every tear, every sob. When they finally walked away, laughing and joking, Layla sat frozen. Her hands shook as she touched her uneven, jagged hair. She could hear passengers murmuring, some angry, others amused. A man in the back recorded everything. "This isn't a prank," he whispered to his wife. "This is abuse." When the plane landed, Layla ran straight into her father's arms at the airport. She didn't say a word. She just cried. And when Marcus Johnson saw his daughter's hair, his baby's trembling face, something inside him broke. By the next morning, the video had spread across social media. Millions watched in disbelief. The airline's initial response called it a lighthearted incident and insisted no harm was intended. But Marcus Johnson was not a man who accepted hollow apologies. He held a press conference that same afternoon. Cameras flashed as he stood beside Layla, her head still uneven, her face pale. "My daughter was humiliated, violated, and mocked," he said quietly. "You called it a joke. I call it a crime." His lawyers filed a lawsuit within hours. Employees began speaking up. Stories of similar behavior surfaced, mainly targeting black or minority passengers. The so-called crew challenges had been happening for months. Protests erupted outside airports. Hashtags flooded the internet. Within a week, the airline's CEO resigned. Shares plummeted. Investors fled. And then, the final blow. Federal investigators uncovered years of internal complaints the company had ignored. By the end of that month, the airline that had humiliated a child was gone, shut down permanently. 6 months later, Layla stood on a stage at a youth empowerment event. Her hair had grown back fuller than ever. She wore a white dress and a small golden pin shaped like a crown. She took a deep breath and said, "They cut my hair, but they didn't take away my pride. They made me cry, but they couldn't take my voice." Her father smiled from the front row. The crowd stood clapping, some wiping away tears. What happened to Layla became more than just a viral moment. It became a movement. Schools, companies, and airlines worldwide introduced new anti-discrimination training. People began to speak up for those who couldn't, because one little girl refused to stay silent. Millions learned that cruelty is never entertainment. So ask yourself, when you see injustice, will you laugh along or will you stand up? Where are you watching from? Which country? Which city? Take care.